Hello, my Africa. Hello, brothers and sisters. I managed to get in contact with one of the powerful traditional healers in Botswana. And he is a Motswana, and he is one of the most famous traditional healers in Botswana because of giving information of one kid that was taken by one of the big officials in Botswana. So that kid, he was sacrificed by one of the big officials in Botswana. So that traditional healer managed to undig the truth, and he also prophesied where the kid's bones were. And it was hard for me to get his contacts, and he was unreachable, but luckily by the grace of God I managed to talk to him and he agreed with everything. So I'm fighting for you guys. Yes, oh yes. So the confession goes like this. I guess I cannot introduce myself to the world, especially in my small country called Botswana. The thing is, I'm known very well, and by the things that I do. My name is Rabi Sani. Let me give you a short story of what happened. It happened that one day, one woman came and cried to me, asking for help, that her child is missing. And whilst her child is missing, and it seems that she had rumors that her child was taken by one of the high officials in the government that I cannot mention. But you'll see the story over the internet, especially when you research about my name. But the woman came and cried on top of my shoulders. And as she was crying on top of my shoulders, I told her to come in my consultation room so that I can introduce her to my gods. As she entered in my consultation room, I told her to pay a small fee of consultation fee. After she paid for consultation fee, I consulted with her. And as I was digging deeper into her problem, my gods were showing me a vision of that her child was kidnapped by one of the top officials. And inside of that problem, I saw her husband was involved inside of that deal of the child being taken. And as I was looking further inside of my vision, they were talking about the child should be sacrificed for rituals because one of the top officials wanted to win the elections using that kid's body parts. And as I was watching them talking in my vision, I saw them talking about that as soon as they are done killing that poor little child, they will split the money because there was another Sangoma that was involved in that blood ritual. In that Sangoma, they were negotiating that he wanted a nose of that child and the tongue of the child, because most of the Sangomas, they love using the tongue of a human being in rituals. And as I was looking at them talking in my vision, they were agreeing that one of the top officials should give the stepfather, the one that kidnapped the child, he was supposed to be given 70,000 pula share for just the whole job done because they were making such a deal. And as soon as they finished talking, my vision stopped. Then I came to the physical world. Then I started explaining to the woman what was happening. As I was explaining to the woman, she started crying. And as I was looking into that second vision that I was having, I saw her pregnant with another child in her belly button. At that time, I couldn't tell her she was pregnant because I was still looking at her still crying because of the vision that I told her of. And as soon as I was done talking to that woman, she told me she wanted to go to the private investigator that is also famous in Botswana, so that that private investigator can go and look for the child that has been missing. And as soon as she left, I took her numbers so that we can become in communication, so that she can update me with everything that is happening. And as she arrived at that private investigator, she started narrating the whole story of what I had told her and what the private investigator did. They went on pursuing to talking to the stepfather of the child. They started asking him questions if it's true or not that he knows where the child is. And he started denying everything. And as he was denying everything, the investigator came up with an idea of taking it to the police matter. And as they told the police everything, because now the stepfather is a suspect, and they took him to a cell where he was staying for 7 days so that he can be tortured there, so that he can tell out the whole truth. And still, he refused by telling out the truth. And what the private investigator did, he came up with another good idea of telling the woman that she should come to contact with me, Rabbi Isani, so that I can prophesy and go and find out where the body of the child is. And indeed, yes, that's what they did. As they approached me, I told them that there's some amount of money that has to be paid because this is a sensitive and serious matter. After them having been paid that amount of money, I went in my consultation room and I took out a metal plate, a small metal plate. What you should know it is that that small metal plate, I use it to find hidden mysteries of the world, such as, let me make an example. Let's say a thief stole your phone. What you can do, you can bring a charger to me. After bringing that charger to me, that plate, as soon as I hold it, it will direct me where the thief is. It doesn't matter the distance, but that plate will direct me where the thief is. To cut the long story short, I went inside of that consultation room and I took my plate. After holding that plate of mine, it started directing me. And as it was directing me, it directed me straight to the prison cell of that stepfather, even though I had not yet met him. And that plate started making me to beat him on top of his head, but not harshly but softly. And it was a sign of he knew where the body of the child was. After me beating that stepfather with the plate directed me also somewhere else, and it took me to the traditional healer's place. And as I entered inside of that traditional healer's house, it looks like also his muti alerted him that I was coming, and that day I found out that he was not there. And my plate started beating on his door, even though he was not inside of the house. And after, my plate also directed me to one of the top officials' house. And you know how top officials are. You cannot just enter freely. You have to meet the security guards outside in order for you to enter. As we approached the top official's house, my plate started banging on the door of the gate of the top official's house. And that day, we couldn't enter because this was a sensitive matter. After people having been witnessed everything they saw, the last thing that was left was finding the body of the child. And my plate started directing me another way. And we walked for several hours. And as we were walking for several hours, we went to a bush that was well known. And as we entered into that bush, my blade started directing me to the ground. And as I was pointing to the ground with my blade, people started digging a hole because they knew something was under there. And as they were digging a hole, they started seeing a glimpse of what you know as a head. And as they were digging softly, they started seeing a head and people started screaming surrounding me. And as people were screaming that were surrounding me, those ones that they were digging a hole, they removed the body of the lost child. And luckily that time, those people were wearing gloves so that that body of the child can be taken to the labs and be tested of who was holding the body of the child. And as soon as that body of the child was taken to the labs, they found out that there were fingerprints of the stepfather and the fingerprints of the Sangoma and the top officials. Because these rituals, they are well known that you should physically hold the person, especially when you want to sacrifice him. You shouldn't hire people. And as those DNA matched the top official and the stepfather, including the Sangoma, they were taken into custody. As I'm speaking to you right now, they are in court. My name is Rabbi Isani, and that's the end of the confession. I hope I made the confession short so that you can understand, because I do not like taking a long time in confessions, because most people complain that I take a long time. They just want it short and accurate. So I hope you understood very well. Thank you for listening. Take care and God bless.